Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm grading and reviewing all 4 original Donkey Kong games for the NES. The original Donkey Kong games that were produced for the system when it was new in stores. And this includes Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, and Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Which ones were great, which ones not so much. So the way I played Donkey Kong on the NES was through Donkey Kong Classics. This is also the way I played Donkey Kong Jr. back in the day. It's got both games on one cartridge. A great deal, especially the way I got it. I got it at Funko Land some time after the NES was, after it had been discontinued and Funko Land was selling NES games very cheaply. I got this great, complete boxed game for maybe $8 or so. Great deal, love it. I passed originally on Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. for the NES because I already had him on the ColecoVision, and to me, they didn't seem like huge upgrades, and I was still happy with my ColecoVision versions, and so I passed on it. But when I got Donkey Kong Classics with both games, I was very happy because Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. are solid. So let's get to Donkey Kong. So as you guys well know, you've heard it a million times and you played it a million times, I'm sure. As Mario or Jumpman in the original arcade version, you climb ladders, you jump over barrels, you smash barrels with your hammer, smash fire creatures, and you're going up and down and you're trying to get to the top of the screen and all that good stuff. We all know how to play Donkey Kong. Now, Donkey Kong for the NES, it plays well, it looks great. It doesn't have the flicker that the ColecoVision version has. It has better controls than the ColecoVision version. It plays great and it's still a fun game. However, as many of you know, it is missing one screen. I call it the conveyor belt level, as do many, but it's also called the Pie Factory level. And that astonished me back in the day because, the NES was this big upgrade over the ColecoVision in terms of power, processing power, and all of that. And it was supposed to be the next big, next-gen system, which it was. Just check out Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda. But for some ridiculous reason, Nintendo opted to leave a screen out, which is exactly how it was on the ColecoVision version. FYI, I don't think the ColecoVision version should have been missing the fourth screen either, because look at something like Miner 2049er that had 11 screens, or look at something like Tarzan that had so many, just really graphically beautiful screens. But I digress. I don't think, obviously, the NES version of Donkey Kong should have been missing a screen, because look at Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers 3. Holy cow, and they missed a screen on Donkey Kong. That is nuts. As such, I'm giving Donkey Kong a somewhat disappointing B. It's a really good game, it's still fun, but there are better ways to play Donkey Kong on the NES these days, including Donkey Kong, what do they call it? Donkey Kong Pie Foundry? I remember it was Pie something because they, it's got the Pie Factory level. They call it the Donkey Kong Pie Foundry, and on the front here it says the updated Donkey Kong. This is a homebrew from Retro Zone. Now, I didn't seek out this game specifically. I actually stumbled across it at a comic book convention. I got a killer deal on it. I bought a box of comics and magazines just sort of in bulk from this dealer at a comic book show that was just looking to get rid of his stuff, and this was just mixed in. He didn't care about it. This was just lumped in. I figured it out. I sort of itemized everything I bought compared to what I paid for it. I figured I paid maybe about $2 for this, and that was awesome. Great way to get it. Now, Donkey Kong Jr., like I said, I also played that on Donkey Kong Classics. And Donkey Kong Jr., very cool. It actually has the 4th screen. It's got all 4 screens from the original arcade game. Now, you guys know about these Donkey Kong games, the screens keep repeating themselves. So it's important to have all 4 screens instead of just 3, because you've got a limited number of screens here, and you want, 4 repeating screens is better than 3. I'll put it that way, because this is, you know, all the Donkey Kong games, you know, the first 2 anyway, Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., those are legendary classics, have solid gameplay. You want all 4 screens, and you guys know Donkey Kong Jr., you climb up and down vines, you drop fruit on egg-dropping nitpicker birds, and those little snapping jaw creatures called snap jaws. And you jump on platforms and over gaps and all that stuff. You guys know the Donkey Kong Jr. thing, and you are Donkey Kong Jr., and Mario is a villain in this game because he's kidnapped your dad. Great game. I love Donkey Kong Jr., maybe even more than Donkey Kong. I love the move from the urban, you know, like the city of Donkey Kong, you know, with the girders and all that, and I love that. That's awesome. But I thought it was great that they moved Donkey Kong Jr. to a jungle setting. I love that, except for that one weird blue screen with the electricity and stuff. Still a fun screen, but kind of odd. Doesn't really fit with the theme of the game overall, but still Donkey Kong Jr. is awesome. And the NES version is absolutely awesome. It's a great port. It mimics the arcade version very well. It's colorful. It's got great graphics and sounds like Donkey Kong. You know, Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. are really solid ports for the NES, but I'm giving Donkey Kong Jr. a solid A because it includes all 4 screens from the original Donkey Kong Jr. Now, both versions are missing the animated intro that you see in the arcade version. And to be honest, that's not a huge deal, and that even, if you're playing these games over and over, the animated intro can even get a little old, as I discovered when I was playing D2K Arcade. This does have the animated intro for Donkey Kong, and after playing many, many times, the animated intro actually gets a little old after a while. That's not a knock against this game. It is absolutely amazing for the Intellivision. Love it, and I think it's cool that it includes the animated intro. I only brought this in to say that it's not a huge deal that the animated intro is missing, especially if you're playing a bunch of times. So Donkey Kong Jr., definitely a solid A. Now let's get to Donkey Kong 3. This is a curious game. Donkey Kong 3. This changed everything completely, which really baffled, confused, and even upset a lot of gamers, a lot of Donkey Kong fans. So instead of climbing and platforming and all that kind of stuff, instead of playing Mario or Donkey Kong Jr., you know, as one of those protagonists, you are Stanley the Bugman, a character who first appeared in Greenhouse, a Nintendo Game & Watch title of all things. So that's kind of a radical departure. Not only that, the game is a shooter. You're not climbing vines and jumping over barrels and smashing things with hammers and all that. You are Stanley the Bugman, you know, around the bottom of the screen where there's some small platforms, and you're jumping on these platforms and you're shooting upward. You're shooting pests, you're shooting bees, butterflies, snakes. You're running and jumping on the platforms, like I said. You're protecting a row of flowers down below so the creatures don't get them. You're also concerned with Donkey Kong, who's coming down in the middle of the screen, like vines down the middle of the screen, and he will pounce on you if you don't keep shooting at him to keep him up there. And you can grab pesticide to shoot him quickly all the way to the top of the screen to finish the level. Another way to finish the level is by destroying all the creatures. And this game has baffled people and upset people, like I said. CGR Undertow, reviewing the game, that popular YouTube channel, said it was an abomination. As did the Video Game Critic, called it an abomination, and I believe he gave it a D-. That's a popular website, Video Game Critic. Great site, but we disagree on this game. And Joe Santulli, the National Video Game Museum co-founder and the digital press guy and all that, he said, "Where the hell is Mario?" Hates this game. Now, the gaming historian, I was happy to see, had a great review of this game. Great in terms of he liked it as well. And I was glad to see that, because I remember when he came out with that video and I thought, okay, here we go. He's going to slam the game. But he loved it, or at least liked it a lot. And I absolutely love it. It's actually one of my favorite Donkey Kong games of all time. I play it over and over and over again through the years. It is phenomenal. It's a great shooter. If you can just forget about the Donkey Kong theme for a moment and just treat it like a shooter, like maybe Centipede or Galaga or something like that, it is awesome. Now, it has 3 screens, the NES version. So did the arcade version, so it's not missing one. Sure, it would be nice if the arcade version would have had 4 screens like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., but no worries. It is a fantastic game. Now, each of the 3 screens is somewhat similar. You're basically doing the same thing, but the platform arrangement's a little different. And I forgot to mention that Donkey Kong, while he's up there, he will throw coconuts at you, so you have to dodge those. There's a lot going on the screen with the bugs everywhere, and you're having to... It's an intense, frenetic, hectic game. And I absolutely love it. It's just so much fun, so challenging, and I played it again and again in the arcades and at home. I played it on my NES pretty frequently, relatively speaking, and when I see it at a free play arcade or wherever, when I'm out and around, I always make sure I play it, or a retro gaming convention. Donkey Kong 3 gets a solid A. I was tempted to give it an A+, but I kind of reserve A+s for games that are really special, like something like Super Mario Bros. 3, but this misses it by a whisker, but I give it a solid A for sure. Next up is Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Check this out. Now, understand that this game is pretty valuable, complete in the box these days. You know, it's one of these black box games like the other Donkey Kong games, when you get them originally, not in the orange Donkey Kong classics. But Donkey Kong Jr. Math, meh, bleh, kind of lame. It's an edutainment game that is... There are some edutainment games that I can appreciate, some of them I even like. Like, there's some Elmo games for the PlayStation that my kids enjoyed when they were little. I even played Fun with Numbers for the Atari 2600 with my kids when they were little, and they enjoyed it. But I do not recommend Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Okay, so you do climb vines as Donkey Kong Jr. You touch digits and arithmetic symbols to reach a number Donkey Kong is holding up. And in another mode of play, you climb chains to select the correct numbers to solve math problems. Wake me up. Okay, it is bland action. There's just not a lot to it. There's really not much in the way of enemies there. You're just kind of doing this yourself. And yeah, there's some math involved, I guess, if that's a good thing to you. Perhaps it'll help you learn your arithmetic, but this is not a fun way to do it. I remember playing Fraction Fever on the ColecoVision, and I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. Pretty fun action game, but Donkey Kong Jr. is pretty lame. I'm giving that a D. And you can bump that to a D- if you want to, but I'm going to give it a D here, you know, because I just don't like it very much. It's just not much fun, bottom line. Let me know in the comments what you think of the original Donkey Kong games for the NES. Which one is your favorite? Are you like me that you love Donkey Kong 3, or do you think it is super freaking lame like a lot of reviewers, a lot of notable gamers just cannot stand Donkey Kong 3, but it's a divisive game. I mean, I haven't heard that many people that say, oh, it's okay, but I've heard a lot of people say they hate it or they just don't get it, and I've heard a lot of people say they love it. It's a great fast action shooter. But on any of these games, let me know in the comments what you think. So thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for liking the video. And if you like the NES as much as I do, check out the NES Omnibus. You can find it on Amazon, and I will post a link in the description of this video where you can get a signed copy direct from me. And I always include extras with shipments, like maybe a signed bookmark or a retro gaming poster or something like that. We will talk to you guys in another video. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.